So after having a whole week break, we're finally back with a new chapter of JJK. And we all know how the last chapter ended, with Yuta going against Sukuna. The King of Curses against the Queen of Curses. Who will stand on top? Well, that's something we have to find out. So chapter 249 starts off with previous events that happened before the last chapter. And this is where we get more insight how the Yuta and Kenjaku fight actually ended, before he went onto the battlefield. So once Yuta kills Geto's body, all the cursed spirits that Kenjaku collected start spreading everywhere. But Rika and Yuta both combine and end up stopping all the cursed spirits from spreading and causing real damage. Unfortunately, while they're both distracted, Kenjaku ends up flying away, or like floating away, I don't know, some voodoo shit. Like, I don't know, he apparently can just do that. So before Yuta can stop him, Kenjaku asks Kagome to add a new rule to the color games. And we all know the rule already, to allow Megami Fushiguro to start the color games and stuff like that. Because, Sukuna's and Megami's body, makes sense. I'm sorry. To start the merger, not the color games. I'm tripping. Anyways, this is when Yuta actually decides to stab Kenjaku in the brain, finally. I don't know why he didn't do this in the beginning. He should have done this in the beginning. Would have saved a lot of trouble, actually. But plot and stuff like that, so it has to happen this way. But before dying, Kenjaku actually thinks to himself that he's actually grateful that Kitabo was actually his last opponent. And it makes sense because, Kitabo actually gave him a good fight. Like, Kenjaku was actually fighting for his life. Like, we were seeing it as, as a comedy fight and stuff like that. But technically, Kenjaku was actually fighting for his... He was actually fighting for his life. Like, he was dead near a death door. Like, he was almost packed up. Anyways, Kenjaku bites the dust. He gets killed, and he could come back, but I don't think so. I think he's just gone at this point, man. Gege Akutami has a pretty unique way of writing. Not everything he writes gets to be explored. Not every character gets to be explored that well. So this could be another example of it. Like Yuki, for example. Yuki is a character that has so much potential in the story, but really got written off because of plot. We didn't even get to see her domain expansion. That's how limited she was. But, it is what it is. So after that, we're back to the current events, with Sukuna going against Yuta. And this is where we get some inner dialogue from him. He starts blaming himself for everything that's happening, for not being here quick enough, for not being there helping fight against Sukuna. He starts questioning why did Maki not go to finish off Kenjaku. She was more than enough, but then Yuta snaps himself out of it, that he was necessary to fight Kenjaku. Because without him, all those cursed spirits that came from Geto's body would have went on a rampage all around the country if it wasn't for him. But without another thought, Yuta attacks Sukuna by slashing his sword at him. Sukuna is quick to grab the sword, and at the same time blocking an attack from behind from Rika. Yuta then lets go of his sword and then punches Sukuna right in his stomach, I don't know. That shit weird as hell. But lands a solid hit, and quickly without wasting no time at all, pops a domain expansion. Now this is what I'm talking about, bro. This is what I'm talking about. None of this, let's start small and then work our way up. Nah. Kill that motherfucker, man. Like, don't waste no time. Get to the point. Now, Yuta's domain expansion, True Love. This looks pretty dope, man. It looks pretty cool. So apparently every katana that's like here has its own curse technique that Yuta has copied, and that's pretty dope. That's a cool concept. Now this kind of reminds me of that fight against Itachi versus Kakashi back in that first Naruto series, right? Where Itachi trapped Kakashi in his genjutsu that lasted like 3 days, but in real time only lasted like a second, I think, or was it like 2 seconds? But basically, it doesn't matter. But basically, it had like crosses and like multiple katanas or swords in that genjutsu, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. Sukuna then quickly uses Hollow Wicked Basket. Now that's like a new technique. I don't know. It's like a new technique. We haven't seen it. Hasn't been used since the Harry era looking ass. But it's used to protect himself, from the sure hit effect. Yuta then proceeds to grab a katana and hits Sukuna with it, shattering his protective barrier. This causes Sukuna's face to get severely damaged. And this is where Sukuna realizes what Yuta is trying to do. By Yuta attacking Sukuna non-stop, Sukuna is left with no other choice but to protect himself. And while he's busy placing that protective barrier around himself, that leaves Yuji with the perfect window, the perfect opportunity to get the dub. Now, we still don't know what that curse technique is, but we do know that it does affect the soul. A lot of people do speculate that it is some type of swap souls or soul swapping technique, but we don't know yet. All I know is that if they're going to do this right now, it has to be right now. Because Yuta did state that Sukuna is gaining his energy output back. And if Sukuna gains his domain expansion back, we're dropping a series. Like, it's GG's at that point. Who's stopping this dude? Huh? There's no amount of plot armor that can stop this dude. It's GG's.